Hi Pete, yeah, thank you
Hello.
very much for joining us today for the RSL and Audience With session. So today we're joined with Pete from Plugstudios in Norwich. So first of all, I thought it would be good just to tell us a bit about Plugstudios and your role within the business.
Okay, well the studios was started back in 1997 at another site from this. The previous owners had been involved in music as promoters in the sort of Norwich scene, and then eventually demand grew and they moved to this kind of purpose-built building in about 2003. I worked for them on and off doing freelance sound engineering and working on the desk and sort of helping them out, and when it came to them talking about retiring, they offered me first refusal. So myself and my wife Sharon took the place on in 2019. And sort of turned the place into what it is now. Yeah,
brilliant. And then maybe a bit about your kind of route into the music industry. And I think you mentioned you worked here previously, or about performing in bands. Starting out that way as well.
Yeah, I taught myself to play guitar when I was younger. A lot of my friends were kind of, got into football and things, but I just fell into music. I think through my brother and his friends. They were a bit older than me, and they were listening to rock and metal bands, and I kind of started to, I guess I was trying to be in their gang maybe, so I started to listen to it, and it just really clicked with me, and I thought, I love this, I love the way that music makes me feel, so I taught myself to play guitar, and I've been in a band for over 30 years. We've been played on Radio 1 and toured Japan a few years ago, toured the UK. We've achieved an awful lot on what is essentially just no money, DIY basically. It's like a punk rock band. It's all DIY, hard work. You get out what you put in. So that's where I come from. This kind of like grassroots, hands-on kind of approach, and that's what we do here at Plug. Is all based around that. It's honest, face-to-face kind of hard work. And love and passion really. So.
Yeah, excellent. And then maybe a bit about the kind of the music that inspired you, or any favourite bands that you have that you've listened to and learned from.
Yeah, I mean, there's the list is pretty endless, but Marillion were one of the first bands I got into, sort of progressive rock band. A lot of the metal at the time. Dio, Ronnie James Dio, amazing singer, but his guitar player, Vivian Campbell. It was always about guitar players. Joe Satriani, Deep Purple. Was one of the first bands I got into with Ritchie Blackmore, and it stemmed from there. And those bands are still with me now, even though I verged off into alternative rock, but I still buy Saxon albums. I still buy and listen to metal, but which is the cool thing about music. I think when you're younger, you're very focused. This is what I like, and I don't like that. And the older you get, you start to appreciate all these things you maybe turned away when you were younger. So and being somewhere like this as well, we hear all sorts of bands. So that's where I come from. That kind of rock and metal background.
Brilliant, sounds great. And then also obviously you are one of our champion centres for RSL, Public Exam Centre in Norwich. So maybe about the value of being an RSL Public Exam Centre.
It's. I was saying to you before, we thought originally, this is good, this is, it's going to be guaranteed kind of money every once in a while, good income, straightforward, but we never realised it was going to be how it is. The people we've met, and there's been some really inspirational people as well, that have come in and are doing exams. The youngsters we see coming in, it's really reassuring to see these youngsters come in, hammer away on some drums really, really well as well. They've obviously got really good teachers, but so many have just got a really good natural ability. Well, you can tell. It's just really, really rewarding to see these people coming in and putting so much time and passion into something that I love as well.
It must be a great network of the local teachers here, local students, seeing them progress from each grade to grade. It's great. And then maybe a bit about how you kind of coordinate your exam day and how you like it to be coordinated with RSL exams team as well.
To be honest, it couldn't be easier. We're in contact with the exam officer they basically say, have you got these dates? It's mainly at weekends that we can do it.
Yeah.
So they'll say, have you got these dates? There's sometimes a bit of back and forth. I might have recording in one of the rooms. But generally a couple of emails, the dates are sorted, locked in, and that's it's done.
Yeah.
You know, and then all we then do is a couple of nights before we'll check the schedule. Then the night before we'll check the schedule again, print it off, get a list of all the candidates for the next day, and that's it. And then we just here bright and early and make sure everything goes.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be easier.
No,
It's
great.
really simple.
And then maybe do you have any useful best practice for any other kind of centres out there? Anything to how you kind of set up the room? I think you've got a great setup with all your different rooms and the themes, which is brilliant as well.
Yes. So I mean, I make sure that all the drum kits, we have a warm-up kit in one of the rooms, and obviously the exam kit. So I'll make sure that they're all fairly tuned up. I'll make sure that all the cymbals and everything are at the same kind of height, so that there's no real problem moving from one kit to another. So I try and set the two kits up as best I can, you know, as say with the same kind of spatial dimensions.
Yeah.
So I'll sit there with a stick and do all that, and I'll adjust everything to the same heights. And the guitar amps, I'll make sure that they're set up on the same setting, and that if you use a foot switch, it switches to the other. So it's just simple things like that will speed up the exam, because the last thing you want is for an exam to overrun by a couple of minutes because there's a problem. So we've found that if you just get everything set up, tested first thing in the morning, that tends to just make things go a lot smoother.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the experience of having an RSL examiner as well come to the venue as well, and your thoughts on that?
All the examiners have been great, but it's really nice to get some feedback. When we first started, we were obviously just fumbling around, like, I think this is how it's supposed to be, and some of the earlier examiners said, oh well, if you do this, and you know, we were given a few pointers, and so now we've kind of, the examiners come and we know how they like to work. Some are quite happy to get the students themselves, others are, you know, want us to go. So we know what examiners want, and we just react accordingly to whatever their needs are. So it's a very, very straightforward kind of process, really. And once you get to know the examiners, so you get to know how they work.
And maybe a bit about your different rooms that you have here and the different themes we were talking about. That would be quite interesting to hear about.
Yeah, well, when we took the place over, it's sort of, it's in some better days that the previous owners were kind of like looking to retire, and we had these, having worked here, we had these ideas of what we could do. So we thought we'd come in and replace a lot of the cabs in the rooms with. We knew somebody that made custom-made cabs called Noisy Hammer. He's literally on the next roundabout up from us. He makes custom-made cabs. So we had this idea of having each room with custom-made cabs in, and ideas of theming the rooms were discussed, and music themes. But we thought it might be a bit too kind of cliched, maybe a bit tricky to kind of accommodate everyone's taste. So we just fell into this idea of doing films, and I started to name some films with my wife Sharon, and we realised that there was a theme through them all, which was puppetry. So we've got a room themed around the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, Gremlins, Jaws, King Kong. So they're all kind of films that have got a little bit of puppetry in them. But yeah, all the cabs kind of match the colour of the room, and the colour of the room matches the colour of the drum kit. So it's just a small kind of idea to make each room a little less sterile.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's very unique that you have that.
We're not sure that kind of anywhere else has done it, but and again, it's part of who Sharon and myself are. We like to put a bit of ourselves in and make it a bit interesting. It's part of the plug.
No, it's great.
Setup.
And then when you have an exam day as well, how do you kind of help maybe students with nerves? I guess you have a great waiting room area where they can go before the exam day.
Yeah, I tend to use humour, to be quite honest. I tend to try and you can always tell when someone's really nervous, and either because you can just tell how they're acting, or even the parents say they're really, really nervous. So I'll tend to talk to them. I mean, I tend to talk to anyone as if they were an adult anyway. So I'll try and put them at ease. I'll try and make kind of jokes. I occasionally make jokes about them taking a drum exam instead of guitar exam and
Yeah,
things like that,
yeah.
just to put them on the back foot and get you know, a bit of eye-to-eye response and a bit of a conversation going. I'll ask what guitar they've got because I play guitar, so I'm always interested to see what guitars they've got. So anything that generally will take their mind off of the exam.
Yeah.
And then sometimes a little pep talk about, you know, and I'll talk about my own past in music and how it's the journey I've gone on. Maybe that might apply to them. They might be doing this in, you know, 10, 20 years time. So it's just about gauging how people are feeling, and just say sometimes it's not appropriate if you know, if somebody's really, really nervous and you can see they're on the verge of tears, then it's you take a different approach. But generally, if you just try and put people at ease and let them know it's not a horrifying prospect. But although I really admire people. I couldn't sit and do an exam at my age now. I'd be terrified. So I do understand how awful it must be for some people to do an exam.
No, absolutely. No, thanks, Peter. That's really great. And then maybe tell us a bit more about the work you're doing within the local community. Like today, you have Access Creative College here. The students. Maybe a bit about your other kind of partners and associates within the local community.
Yeah, so we've as you say, we've got the Creative College in today, Access Creative College. They come in and it's their performance students. They come in on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and they come in, they use the rooms, they kind of create, do their assignments in the rooms, they have lunch here as well. We're sort of building up quite a good relationship with the college at the moment. A lot of the past students as well we're still in touch with, who have gone on to Nottingham University to kind of finish their course. That you can go there and do a year's top up to get a degree. So we're still in contact with them, and it's so that's one of the sort of the people that use us. We've also have a mental health charity that comes in on a Wednesday called Mind the Gap. It's for any musicians that've got mental health kind of issues. They come in here, it's a safe space, they just come in, use the rooms, use the equipment, make some music, make friends, drink lots of tea. We're kind of quite involved in the local music scene as well. Obviously a lot of bands come here, so when we can, because we work every single evening, but we have a few evenings where we finish early. If it's on a Saturday or a Sunday night, we'll go and support some of the bands that practice here. I've been involved in the scene for a long time, so and we've built up a network as well of local craftsmen who, let's say, Noisy Hammer, who build the cabs. It's a guy that fixes our amps for us. We've got a few guitar technicians as well, drum techs that we know. So if anybody kind of comes to us with do you know somebody that we can point them in a direction of somebody to fit a pickup or
No, it sounds like you've got a great community within the.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky, I've got to say.
No, great. And then finally, maybe a bit about what's next for Plugstudios. What's this year, or any kind of key events or anything coming up?
Yeah, no, I think it's just business as usual, really. There's not we don't kind of we don't really sort of plan for big things. The previous owners used to put on a big kind of thrash metal festival, 3-day festival at one of the local pubs. So they were kind of from their background of being promoters, they used to put on a lot of gigs. But we find that just being here 7 days a week is kind of it takes up a lot of time. So so long as we can just keep doing what we're doing, supporting local bands, doing recordings here as well that we do. Obviously Rock School, carry on doing that. So just so long as we can keep going, keep the wolf from the door at the moment. You know, we'll just survive as long as we can. But it's all good at the moment though, so can't complain.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Pete,
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much.
Great.